Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I am at a different location this morning. Um, Hope you guys had a good week, having a great weekend. I I found it very difficult to come up with a topic this week. Watching the news, and I'm not into that celebrity gossip garbage, but I even listened to a little bit of that, just to come up with a sensible topic to talk about today. Yeah, it was hard, man. I guess everybody's getting ready for the holidays and just not making that much noise. So we had some tragedies this past week. We had some unfortunate things that happened, and I'm not a reporter. I'm not a journalist, so therefore I'm not gonna comment on too much of that. But something I heard yesterday that I am interested in. And before I get to that topic, let me just say I'm a big 40s, 50s, and 60s movies fan and music fan. But well, not music, but movie fan. I really enjoy those old movies. There are certain actors or actresses that I'm really not fond of, and some that I'm very fond of, like Marilyn Monroe. Love Marilyn Monroe. Anything that she's in, I try my best to watch it. Rock Hudson, I've never been a matter of fact, I never watched more than two Rock Hudson movies. But I found this movie out of the '50s. I can't remember the name of it. Where he got involved with a widower that was very wealthy, and she had children. I was against their relationship. All her friends, the socialites, they were against the relationship. I think he was like 15 years younger than the woman. And to make a long story short, I found it to be one of the greatest films I've seen. Just beautiful, man. Um, and I'm going to continue to sift through the weeds to find those lost gems of the '50s and the '60s that just got past me. Back when we had HBO and Cinemax and those type of channels who would feature good movies like that are long gone. We still have Me TV and a couple others that'll show some older um, movies, but right now it's I think it's FX or Fox Movies and Turner Classic Movies that you really find these gems on right now, and thank God for them because you know nothing to nobody. Everybody's streaming now. Everything's about to stream, and even your HBO and your Cinemax, you have to stream it. And God, I guess I'm a lost dinosaur. I just can't get into a whole bunch of that stuff, but it is what it is. Getting into the topic though, I heard a podcast yesterday. Um, I think on the Harmony channel on YouTube, and it was talking about legacy. And I didn't get into the definition. I think one of the participants in the podcast gave the definition of legacy, and it could be a wide range of things, from money to property, possessions, etc. What somebody leave as their legacy. But the conversation was about an individual um, who really didn't want to have kids, and the girl that she was on the show with was talking about, there's thousands of guys who would want to leave their legacy through you. In other words, get her pregnant and not get married, and have fatherless kids. And that's not leaving a legacy, in my opinion. You're just being a sperm donor, even though she didn't want to have kids. But I jotted a few things down, and I guess in my breakdown of it is leaving a legacy. Whether it be kids, property, wealth, your last name. That used to be huge to me. And I mean, it meant a lot. Matter of fact, when I had my first child, my son, Kenyon Stephon Richie, that's my legacy. Not only is it not it not only is it my legacy, that's my father's. He gonna have his last name. That's his legacy. And I've always thought that way, until yesterday, and I'm gonna tell you why. So listening to this podcast on the Harmony Channel, there was a guy. I'm not gonna call names. Don't want to get sued or copyrighted or anything like that. So I just said this guy. Former SEC football player, former NFL football player. Um, that's a part of the Fearless Army now. He said that he researched his heritage back to the 12th century, the 1200s, the 1300s, it's somewhere in there. But he was like, he couldn't find anything. He knew it was a bloodline, but he couldn't find anything. And I think he said he researched it back until his great grandfather, or maybe his great great grandfather, which would have been 17, 1800s. But beyond that, he couldn't find anything. And I got to thinking, now, my mother, she was good when it came to family heritage and history. She could tell you, she could go back several centuries, a couple hundred years with names, dates, and all that good stuff. She was one that she's dead and gone now. But that I don't think is 100% lost, because I talked to my niece a while back, and her mother um, had a lot of knowledge on the last couple hundred years of you know our family name, our properties, and all that good stuff. But when there's going to become a day, well, that's going to be gone. That legacy. Now, the last name hopefully will still be there, but that legacy in 100 years, ain't nobody gonna remember me. Ain't gonna give a damn about me being here or what I left. I talked to my wife, and she was telling me that when it comes to white people, my beautiful, beautiful white brothers and sisters, they leave their legacy. They put their name on a building, a street named after them, a community named after them. That's absolute fact. And I'm not saying it hasn't happened in any other community, but that's how they leave their legacy. A lot leave wealth, um, but primarily they put their name where it's going to be seen, for eternity. But listening to this guy yesterday, basically saying that who's going to know me? Who's going to know what I've done in the next 100 years? Unless you've done something very significant, or you're a very prominent person, who's going to remember you, man? I was trying to think back to my mother's father. I think he was blind due to a car wreck or something like that. But I'm like, who's talking about him? Who's talking about my grandmama? Who's talking about my other grandparents? They left children, they left grandchildren, in which I'm one of. But who's talking about them? So that legacy is something. It's something to think about. Something to conversate about. And one question I have is what does leaving a legacy mean? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to you? In the grand scheme of things, I do want my son and my grandchildren to have my last name and to carry that name for years and years to come. I do. I cherish my last name. I cherish that Richie, because a lot of you possibly don't know. I was adopted, and it's several different stories how I came into this world, which honestly I don't. care. I'm here. I was raised right. That's all I care about. But one of the stories is that I heard from a cousin of mine, because he was just a butthole, and he was one of them types. He always loved to, I guess, kind of like bully, if you know want to put it in a simple word. But he, one day was playing backyard football. I think I was 7 or 8 years old, and he had hit me, and I went to the ground, and I said, it ain't gonna happen again, and it didn't. And next time I got the best of him, even though he was older than me. And he said, yeah, that's why you was adopted. I didn't know at the time. He said, that's why you were adopted. That's why you came from Africa. You was thrown in the garbage can. And I was hurt. I ain't adopted. So I went to my mama, and she said that her and my father said they were planning on telling me a little bit later on, once my brain could process it. But this butthole went on ahead, and so it's almost like Santa Claus. When you find out there ain't no Santa Claus, you hurt, you're disappointed. I've been bamboozled. That's kind of how I felt. And for about 2 or 3 days, I felt bamboozled. I was angry, mad, and I got over it. And as I'm getting older and my brain is starting to develop, and I'm starting to get a little bit of intelligence, I realize it don't matter where I came from. I just know Harvey and Francis Rich are my parents, and they doing the best they can for me. Give me anything I want, put me in the best position in life to succeed. And that's my point. Don't matter where I came from. There ain't no last name on earth I'd rather have than Richie. And what it means to be a Richie. It means everything to me. And I hope and pray that it means everything to my son and my daughters, and my grandchildren. Because I think that's powerful. That's a powerful legacy. That's one thing that I have left on this world. But now, even my grandchildren in 100 years, what will they remember about me? I hope. I mean, I don't know. What would their children remember about Harvey Lamont Ritchie? Who would even care? I tell stories now, going back to my high school days, because I love my high school days and my college days and everything I've done. I've done up until that period. Oh God, I loved it. But who cares? Nobody on earth cares about none of that but me. You know. I really didn't. Like I said, I think one of the individuals did a did a broke down the definition of what legacy meant, and I really didn't get into that. I was just basically interested in terms of family. That was the biggest thing for me, in terms of family. And I know that for different communities that means different things. But for me, it's about family. Um, and I don't know if I have millions of dollars to leave, which honestly I don't care about money. I have plenty of possessions that means the world to me. But would that legacy mean anything to my children and my grandchildren? Seriously doubt it. I don't want it to go up in flames. I don't want it to be all for naught. But will it really mean anything to them? I was thinking about my high school. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we was talking about high school football from back in the day. We was talking about the old Anniston 89 state championship and Oxford 88, 89 state championships. And we were talking about a couple of guys who meant the world to me. He was asking me for my last podcast, what did these guys tell you? And I told him, it was something sentimental. It was something that they had said to let me know that, dude, you one hell of a football player, and I really appreciate it. But we was talking about these guys, man, and when it comes to high school, they have legacies. Everybody will remember the 89 Anniston team, the 88 and 89 Oxford team. They have cemented themselves in that legacy. And I'm thinking, well, what did I do at Walter Webber High School that I left that anybody even remembers me now? No, nothing. absolutely nothing, and I can't go back and change any of that. It is what it is, and I'm cool with that. But I know in my heart, Walter Webber High School left a legacy in me. It really did. And even though I didn't stay but a good couple of weeks in Lincoln, Nebraska left a legacy in me. Livingston University, which is now West Alabama, left a legacy in me. And I go back to the words of President Kennedy. Not ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I did everything I could at Walter Webber High School. Could I have done better? Yeah. But that's the legacy. It's left in me. I didn't leave a legacy at Walter Webber High School, and I'm cool with that. But I've been a state employee for going on 31 years now. I think either 30, no, 26 years. I'm sorry, going on 26 years now, and you know, I've never one time thought about, well, what can the state do for me? Nothing. I'm a public servant. It's what I can do for the state of Alabama. What can I do for my community? Whether it's law enforcement or what I'm doing now, or even in my retirement, what can I do for the citizens of the state of Alabama? And like I said, that's the legacy that's going to be left in me, in life and in death. I don't even want to have a retirement party when I retire. I don't want to have it because I'm still going to be me, and I'm still going to be a servant. But I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna wrap it up with this: the greatest legacy that will be left in me, and I want to leave on this earth, is my love and faith for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's the most important legacy, in my opinion. My blood will be running through the veins of, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 human beings if I was to leave this earth right now. And hopefully that blood will be flowing through many, many more that had the last name Ritchie, that will have the last name Ritchie, or be tied in through the bloodline. But my greatest bloodline and my greatest legacy is my faith and my love of Jesus Christ. And that is the most important thing when it comes to legacy for me. The most important thing. And God has blessed me, not with riches when it comes to money and gold and silver. No, He has blessed me with love and grace and wisdom. And no amount of money can ever replace that. No amount of money, no possessions, not the big houses, the fancy cars, none of that. He has blessed me with love, and it's my duty as a Christian to return that to my fellow man, to my children, doing what I'm supposed to do as a Christian. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up, but thank you guys for listening. I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine. Didn't get a chance to talk to him much. Mr. Hollis. I appreciate you stopping by and hollering at me. I know you were with your wife and you had to go, but maybe we can chit chat. You know what? Get a computer, get your phone. Let's do a collab, man. Let's do a show with you and I just talking about stuff. If you don't, if you don't mind, be a special guest, and reach your friends and my friends and family and followers who will see this. And I really want to continue this conversation, not just about legacy, but the conversation of life. There's plenty to talk about, plenty to debate, and plenty, plenty, plenty to love. So as always, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, you guys stay blessed and humble. God bless you.